For all verified facts, subscribe to our YouTube channel and click the bell icon to get the latest updates.
Hello and welcome. Rating agency CRISIL has now revised its real GDP forecast for the year 2021 from -5% projected in May this year, that's May a few months ago, to -9% now. The reasons are, of course, the continuing pandemic and the economic impact it's had on economic activity, as well as the government not providing adequate support fiscally. Now, the permanent loss to GDP, so this is business that's disappeared in many ways, is 13% or 30 lakh crore rupees. Now, this is in contrast to other Asia-Pacific economies, which will only see a 3% GDP hit. That is, 3% will disappear permanently because all of the factories were shut or businesses were shut and economic output could not be created or, for that matter, delivered. Now, look at the context. We already slumped 23.9% or 24% in the first quarter of this year. CRISIL, by the way, had predicted 25% slump. Now, the only good news here is that agriculture has grown and will continue to grow and is likely to grow by about 2.5%. The question again is whether agriculture will compensate and to what extent will it compensate, not just for the economy, and whether it will make up for some of those jobs that have been lost in the formal economy, or for that matter, even the informal economy. So, to address this question and get a better sense, I'm now joined by D.K. Joshi, the Chief Economist of CRISIL. Mr. Joshi, thank you very much for joining us. Before I ask you about other questions, are numbers now more in alignment between what the government is releasing and between what you are putting together or projecting?
Yeah, I think we are working with limited data. I mean, even the government data for April and May for industry and inflation was not released with full confidence, I mean, because it had low response rate. But the other indicators, I mean, which are, let's say, your Google mobility or your power consumption or what you hear from the auto sector, I think all of them were pointing towards a deep hit. And what we estimated was around 25%, and I think it is quite aligned to what the government came out with.
Right. Okay. So now let's try and understand, as you've revised from -5 to -9%. What does that difference really mean, or even the aggregate of a -9% drop? What does that really mean in terms of what could be visible to us, maybe either is visible to us right now or will be visible to us?
Well, I think of course, GDP is an overall measure of impact on the economy, and not all sectors are aligned to the decline in GDP. Some might do better, as you pointed out, agriculture was one of them. But I think for an overall perspective, I think it would mean some pressure on the corporate, some more pressure on the corporate sector. It would also mean generation of employment will become difficult, I mean, compared to the base case scenario. So all the problems that were associated with the -5% get amplified as you move to a higher growth decline.
You know, you had pointed out earlier that, as we have more months of lockdown, it's actually a multiplier effect. I mean, 1 month plus another month of lockdown is not 2 months of lockdown, but effectively it creates cascading impact, because obviously, I mean, I can relate it to, let's say, companies and cash flows, where it becomes tighter and tighter. So what's your sense, I mean, in terms of the impact that we are seeing because of a continued lockdown?
Well, lockdown is continuing, but it is also becoming less and less stringent. So we are not comparing apples to apples. I mean, because the lockdown, but I think what is true is that the more the virus load continues, and the more some restrictions continue to be to be implemented, I think we will see the buffers in the system will keep getting eroded as the time passes by. So the ability of the system to cope up with the crisis in terms of providing income support, I think even in terms of fiscal support, I think all of them do come down. I think, and as we looked at when you say -5 to -9%, it also means government's ability to raise tax revenue also reduces, because GDP is the base on which you collect taxes. So I think it means more hardships. I mean, so I would say so.
So why is India India faring more badly than compared to other countries? For instance, you've drawn a comparison with other Southeast Asian economies.
Well, I think one of the reasons is, I think that your initial conditions were much weaker. I mean, we were on a declining growth trajectory, and I think there was stress in the financial sector already pre-existing. GDP growth was at a 10-year low. I think the inflation was still quite high. I mean, compared to what RBI tolerates. I mean, in terms of its inflation targeting, and so I think all this was pointing towards. And I think the latest GDP print that came out for 1920 showed that the investments had contracted in the last quarter, and consumption had slowed substantially. And I also want to point out that manufacturing sector was continuously in negative growth trajectory for 4 quarters, which essentially means it was in a technical recession. I mean, for 4 quarters. So I think with this, if you have weak initial conditions, then you get hurt even more. I mean, just as you have low immunity, I think you run the higher risk. So similarly, in the same vein, I think the stress on the economy rises, and because of weaker initial conditions, stringent lockdown, and the inability to provide adequate stimulus, I would say, I think all of these have come together to spiral the economy down at a faster pace than what we expected earlier.
Right. And you mentioned manufacturing, and one is what is your outlook for manufacturing, but more importantly, our strength as a country has always been that we had in some ways leapfrogged and we had larger services economy. So what does that mean, or how is that translating in an environment like this?
Well, I think services is not a uniform sector. I mean, right now, I mean, in the context of the pandemic, some services are still doing, I would say, reasonably well. Let's say IT, ITS, exports, and few, I think, services like healthcare, etc. But apart from that, the ones with physical contacts are in very bad shape. So it's not a uniform basket, so to say. But in terms of manufacturing, I think what we have seen last year was a weakening manufacturing sector. We have seen a deeper hit to manufacturing than to the overall services in the first quarter. Now what we believe is that services will be slow to rebound because I think restrictions on some of the services will continue. But manufacturing will rebound much faster. I think this is what we saw in economies like China, for instance. This is what the PMI data shows, that manufacturing PMI is moving. So you'll rebound quickly in manufacturing. Services will remain in more restricted mode going ahead. I think India is leapfrogging on the services front. I think some of the services which were growing faster of late, I think some of which have slowed down. But the others, I think, like, for instance, IT, ITS are still reasonably, I mean, in better shape compared to what's happening to others.
Right. Last question. So, the regional layout, so 54% of confirmed cases today in states like Maharashtra, Tamil Nadu, Karnataka, and Andhra Pradesh these are states which represent 36% of GDP. So, a lot of the areas which are obviously affected are also the most productive from a economic output point of view. So, how do you see this evolving?
Well, that's very true. I mean, and actually, as you rightly pointed out, they have a larger share in GDP. But I think what's also happening is that we are seeing resurgence. I mean, in some of the metropolitan cities, etc. So the virus which was flattening out is trying to resurface again. But now the problem is shifting more towards rural areas, where smaller towns, where the growth rates in the number of cases are much higher than these big cities. Now, I think in the first half of the year, the fiscal year, we've seen the rural economy do well, agriculture do well. Disruption was due to, I think, a lockdown in the month of April, particularly for agriculture supplies. This time, I think if the virus does spread to rural India at a faster clip, and I think in the harvesting season, we see the cases increase, then I think we could again see another sort of disruption coming in. So the first disruption was not, I think, did not originate in the pandemic in the rural areas as much, I think, as it originated in the supply disruptions because of lockdown. But there is a risk that I think the rural economy, if by the harvesting season, which is in October, I mean, if you don't have control over it, it could be somewhat restrictive for even if the crop production is good, I think it may not translate into lower inflation, I mean, if that plays out.
Right, and let me add a quick last question to that. So overall, if the rural economy has grown, to what extent has that protected or is protecting, let's say, jobs and livelihoods?
Well, I think I won't say to a great extent. I mean, it is helping in agriculture, and government's focus on the rural economy is also helping create jobs. That's true, and similar things are not available for urban areas. But what is also true is that that construction sector, particularly in the first quarter, got hit by 50%. And construction, 70% of the employment in construction is in rural areas. So I think, so obviously, I think the rural economy, construction also got hit as a result of the COVID-19. So it's not. I mean, I would say that it's in a somewhat better shape than the urban areas. It's not that it is doing. It's not that it is vibrant. I mean, you can't call it that. And so that's in a way a good news, particularly agriculture, because I think. As I said, maybe in the last talk, that it punches more than its weight in GDP. Has a lower share, but the employment contribution is higher. It is providing nutrition, which is very, very critical at this juncture. So from a food security perspective, I think India is, in terms of supply of food grains, is reasonably well placed. I mean, compared to many other economies, even though it may be sinking faster in terms of GDP.
Right. DK Joshi, thank you so much for sharing your thoughts and your view on where we stand today, and for the report, of course. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Govind. Always a pleasure talking to you.